Hello everyone, my name is Fiona Wilson, and today I will be talking about the history of Merck and Vioxx. So starting with a brief overview of everything that will be included in this presentation, I'll be starting off with an introduction of the issue before I move into its background and history. Then I will talk about the bioethical considerations of the case, and then I will relate it to a similar case with similar consequences. And then I will wrap everything up by asking some questions and providing some activities. Starting off with an introduction of the issue, providing a brief overview, Merck and Vioxx is a case of non-disclosure in which Merck's lack of transparency regarding adverse health effects and risks led to heart attacks and the death of thousands of Americans. Merck & Co. is a pharmaceutical company headquartered in New Jersey, named after the Merck family, and Vioxx is a drug whose nature will be later outlined, which was marketed by Merck. So what exactly is Vioxx? Vioxx, also known as rofecoxib and sometimes sold under the name Ciox, is an anti-inflammatory drug marketed to treat a number of conditions including osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and migraines, and was used for chronic or acute pain. So for some biochemical context, Vioxx is a non-steroidal drug and is administered primarily by mouth and appears in the form of a small yellowish pill which can be seen in the middle of the screen. So why is this case important? Vioxx became one of the most widely used and prescribed drugs to ever be taken off of the market. And in addition to this, Merck announced the biggest drug settlement known to date in order to settle thousands of lawsuits against them regarding the adverse health effects of Vioxx. The history of Vioxx and the company which marketed it exemplifies how mistrust in the pharmaceutical industry and the large companies which partake in it is developed. An extensive factor in this is the extent to which pharmaceutical companies disclose information and side effects, and to what extent these side effects are truly researched. So the nature of these factors in this case will be discussed later. This is a short video clip introducing the issue before I get more into its history.
After 10 hospitalizations and a triple bypass since his heart attack in 2000, Maryland resident Gilbert Teets is confident he'll get a share of Merck and Company's $4.8 billion settlement. In a major change of legal strategy by Merck, the deal includes compensation for Teets and thousands of other users of the drug Vioxx. But Friday's word of the settlement has left Teets with mixed emotions.
I'm happy that 7 years after my heart attack, that it's over with. I'm still angry, though. I'm still not happy. This changed my life.
Merck pulled Vioxx from the market in 2004 after its researchers determined the drug doubled the risk of heart attacks and strokes.
I had a heart attack. I had a triple bypass. I was in the hospital 10 times that summer, and I retired early. And all of that, I think, was caused by Vioxx.
Drug maker Merck agreed to the huge payout to end thousands of state and federal lawsuits in one of the largest drug settlements ever.
It's a great day for the court system in New Orleans and in California, Texas, and New Jersey. The potential to resolve 30 to 40,000 cases of heart attack and stroke alleged to caused by Vioxx have been resolved after 11 months of secret negotiations.
The company hopes this settlement will resolve about 60,000 Vioxx-related lawsuits. The AP spoke with a representative for Merck via telephone.
This is a reasonable and responsible resolution that's fair to the plaintiffs and is reasonable and in the best interest of Merck and our shareholders, and it allows Merck to focus even more fully on its mission, which of course is to discover, develop, and deliver new medicines and vaccines for patients.
Payouts from Merck will vary depending on severity of injuries and could start as early as August of 2008.
This drug should have never gone on the market. But it's nice to finally know that they're not going to try the cases for the next 20 years.
Mike Gracia, The Associated Press.
Now we'll be talking about the background and history of the case. So before I begin, bear with me, this is quite an extensive series of events, but it is important in understanding how these large pharmaceutical companies are successful in bypassing many FDA standards. So, starting in November of 1998, Merck requested the drug's approval from the Food and Drug Administration after having tested the drug on over 5,000 subjects in 8 different studies. And in January of 1999, shortly before the drug's approval, Merck launched a study abbreviated VIGOR, hoping to prove that rofecoxib was more effective than other painkillers due to a decreased chance of causing possible gastrointestinal problems. And rather than proving this, the study eventually came to show that Vioxx had the potential to be fatal with a risk of heart attack and stroke. In May of 1999, rofecoxib is approved in the US by the FDA, making it available by prescription and marketed under the names Vioxx, Cioxx, and Cioxx. At this point in time, the VIGOR study was not completed and the data had not yet been truly reviewed or monitored. In October of 1999, the VIGOR Study's Board of Data and Safety Monitoring met for the first time, and at this point in time, data shows that Vioxx results in fewer ulcers and less gastrointestinal bleeding, as opposed to other painkillers, the primary drug of reference being naproxen. So the study is, as of this time, looking quite promising for Merck. In November of 1999, VIGOR's Data and Safety Board has their second meeting focusing on possible heart problems. As of this time, 79 out of 4,000 patients taking Vioxx have died of heart problems, as opposed to the 41 out of 4,000 taking naproxen. The panel states, directly quoted, "While the trends are disconcerting, the number of events are small, and they vote to continue the study." In December of 1999, VIGOR's Data and Safety Board holds its third and final meeting. At this point in time, it has been shown and established by the researchers and data that the risk of possible heart problems is twice as high in Vioxx as in naproxen. The panel votes to continue the study, but decides that Merck must formulate a plan to provide further monitoring regarding cardiovascular results before the study ends. In January of 2000, Merck begins to formulate a plan for this data analysis. The company wants to wait and combine the cardiovascular results of the VIGOR study with results of previous Vioxx studies, but Weinblatt, the safety panel chair, advocates for immediate analysis. In February of 2000, Merck and Weinblatt discuss further and decide to analyze the data by February 10th of 2000. Events reported later than this date are not to be included in the analysis. In March of 2000, Merck receives the results of the VIGOR study, and in May of 2000, Merck submits a paper featuring the results of the VIGOR study to the New England Journal of Medicine for publication. The data in the paper includes only 17 of the 20 heart attacks experienced by Vioxx patients, after which 2 revisions and corrections were submitted to the Journal of Medicine in July and November of 2000, none of which included the 3 missing heart attack data points. And at this point, the paper had not yet been published. So this is a picture of what the original article looked like as published in the New England Journal of Medicine, so you all can get a better idea of the information that people were really seeing and receiving. On November 23rd of 2000, the VIGOR paper is published, leaving out heart attacks 18, 19, and 20, as well as numerous kinds of cardiovascular adverse effects and risks. In February of 2001, the FDA holds an advisory meeting and decides to publish the full set of data on their website, disclosing all adverse effects and risks, including heart attacks 18, 19, and 20. In August of 2001, 2 cardiologists published their analysis of the VIGOR study according to the full data set and publish it in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Doubt is cast on the fact that naproxen protects the heart, and by August of 2004, numerous epidemiological studies have pointed to Vioxx's adverse health effects and cardiovascular risks. In September of 2004, 5 years after the drug is launched, Merck withdraws Vioxx after a colon study shows that the drug raises the risk of heart attacks after 18 months, and at this point in time, Vioxx has already been taken by an estimated 20 million Americans. Following an announcement made by the New England Journal of Medicine's editor-in-chief stating that the paper was falsified, the first liability case against Merck reaches court in August of 2005, and some 13,000 lawsuits are filed against the company on behalf of 23,000 plaintiffs claiming the drug caused heart attack and strokes. During this time, Merck responds to many claims made by the New England Journal of Medicine, saying that the original published paper followed clinical trial principles and the last 3 heart attacks occurred after the cutoff date, which is a claim that the journal editors refuted. The FDA also provides data which shows that Vioxx has adverse side effects before 18 months that remain long after the patient stops taking the drug, which is a claim that Merck also denies. And lastly, in November of 2007, Merck announces that the company will pay $4.85 billion to end thousands of lawsuits against them. This amount was to be paid in a settlement fund, which is believed to be the largest drug settlement ever. And at this point in time, Merck emphasizes that it will not admit any fault. So this is some data. Both sets of data I will be showing come from the revised article from the New England Journal of Medicine, expressing concern regarding the 3 undisclosed heart attacks. This table shows the data as originally given, without heart attacks 18, 19, and 20. This table shows the full set of data, including the undisclosed heart attacks, so it can be seen this one says 20, and this one says 17. So it can be seen in this set especially how high the incidence of myocardial events is in Vioxx as compared to naproxen. Now we'll be talking about some bioethical considerations of this case. First, we will be talking about what exactly Merck did wrong in this situation and how this ties into the pharmaceutical industry as a whole. Beginning with FDA approval. First, the drug was approved by the FDA before the data from the Vigor study had even been reviewed. So seeing as the results of this study showed many adverse and potentially fatal side effects, it is evident how easy it often is for pharmaceutical companies to market drugs that may be dangerous. It was previously mentioned in the timeline that in December of 1999, after disconcerting data came to light, the Vigor Study's Board of Safety and Data Monitoring decided to continue the study. And when later asked why this occurred, the researchers at Merck defended the decision by saying that it was difficult to establish whether Vioxx was the cause of these heart problems or if naproxen was simply preventing them, which, directly quoted, made Vioxx look risky in comparison. Not only does this exemplify Merck's lack of caution when seeking FDA approval and marketing Vioxx, but it shows the company's lack of responsibility when taking accountability for the gruesome results of the drug. So whether or not Vioxx was causing the problems or simply not preventing them, Merck failed to warn patients of the adverse effects of the drug. In regard to allegation denial, even after the FDA shows data which supports the claim that Vioxx causes heart attacks before 18 months and that the effects remain after the drug is no longer taken, Merck still denies all allegations. And it can be seen by the invalidation and trivialization of the Vigor study's results in regard to heart problems that those working for Merck did not take the potential risks and side effects seriously. Merck failed to publicize the risks associated with the drug, however small they may have seemed, and included only 17 of the 20 heart attacks, essentially falsifying the data. They also expressed a disregard for their patients' safety. In January of 2000, when the plan for data analysis was being formulated, Weinblatt pushed for immediate review of the results, but Merck postponed this analysis, which would eventually lead to thousands of patients being prescribed Vioxx despite its dangers. Merck did not prioritize the health and safety of the patients, delaying results and the publication of cardiovascular risks. Going over the consequences of this, after Vioxx was withdrawn, later research showed that an estimated 88,000 Americans suffered heart attacks from taking Vioxx, 38,000 of which died, which is by no means an insignificant number. Merck's inability to take immediate accountability for the effects of their drug, the falsification of publicized data, and the company's lack of full disclosure in favor of continuous marketing exemplifies the focus on sales and profit that is often prominent in the pharmaceutical industry. Next, I will be going over a related case, which is the case of the Sackler family and Purdue Pharma. Beginning with who are the Sacklers? The Sackler family, primarily the brothers Arthur, Mortimer, and Raymond Sackler, who were all physicians, founded the pharmaceutical company Purdue Pharma and Munda Pharma. Purdue Pharma introduced OxyContin in 1996, which is essentially a reformulated, slow-release version of oxycodone. So for some context, oxycodone is one of the biggest contributors to the opioid epidemic in the United States and was consequentially withdrawn from the market in 1990. The FDA approved OxyContin in 1996 based upon the original label provided by the Sackler family, which stated that addiction to the drug was very rare, but it was later discovered that the addictiveness of the drug was vastly underplayed and that the label provided a fraudulent description. After being introduced into the market, OxyContin was quickly overprescribed and led to the extreme addiction of thousands of Americans. The family quickly made it onto the Forbes list of richest U.S. families, coming in at $15 billion in 2015. Purdue Pharma played an important role in normalizing the prescribing of strong opioids starting in the 1990s, claiming that the addictive nature of such drugs was overblown. And the Sackler family has since faced lawsuits from nearly all 50 states regarding its alleged role in the opioid crisis and refuses to admit any wrongdoing, like Merck, but have proposed a $10 to $12 billion settlement. Purdue Pharma has since filed for bankruptcy and has pled guilty to criminal charges concerning the marketing of OxyContin, but none of the family members of the Sackler family have actually been charged for any criminal offenses. The Sacklers have been referred to as the worst drug dealers in history and remain one of the biggest contributors to the opioid crisis, most of the time going so far as to say the crisis itself was started by Purdue. Concluding, both Merck and Purdue falsified and or did not disclose accurate information prior to and following FDA approval, and in both cases, the companies made an enormous profit while the dangerous effects of the drug caused death, addiction, and adverse effects in thousands of Americans. Now we'll be wrapping up with some questions and activities. The following is a list of possible questions for you to think about or to answer. I would love to hear your thoughts on these, but if you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them in the discussion thread and I will respond to them as quickly as possible. These are mainly just to get your thinking going. And these are just some activities I'm providing to test your knowledge of the subject matter. I'm going to be putting all the links and attachments, including a PDF of the crossword, in the discussion thread. Feel free to complete however many or few of these you would like. These are mainly just for you. These are my references and sources, and thank you for listening.